So for those of you who don't know, once you pass 2 million subscribers on YouTube, you get an invitation to join the Illuminati, which of course I have done, so I'm now an official member, and I thought to celebrate this, I would build an Illuminati door. Now, I've placed in all the blocks, this is what it actually looks like, and I have to say, I mean, I'm not 100% certain it's actually going to be possible. You see, before I started recording, I thought I would just lay out some of the pistons that I could potentially use to build this thing, because I didn't want to record a video that was actually going to be impossible. I wanted to make sure that it could potentially be possible, and I've concluded that I think it might be maybe potentially-ish. So we've got a lot of piston action going on down at the bottom here. We've also got some triple piston extender action going on here, which has to be pushed across from the side to be able to retract that block there. We also have this rather interesting system, which is in charge of retracting all of these blocks. So if we just take a look at that happening, look, we get this, and then this, and then we have to retract that, have to retract this out the way, and there we go, and then we have to retract this upwards like that, and that opens up that top section. I don't know, not 100% certain. I think I'm just going to start wiring some things up and we'll see how far we can go with it. Okay, so first things first, we need to do the double piston extenders, which are going to be retracting these blocks here, the only blocks that don't actually have slime blocks attached to them. So that should be a fairly simple process of having these observers all lining up like this, and then we're going to have some blocks which those observers are pointing into, and then the input to those is going to be in the center here. So that should be that done, but then we also need to do these ones. How on earth are we going to power those? I suppose we can go repeater set to 2 ticks down here, and then our observer, and then our block. I guess that does actually work, because then we can power this thing from underneath. Alright, that's not a bad start. Right, so let's give this a whirl then. If we hit this button, that was good. But then something got stuck. And I can't tell what. Okay, I managed to work something out, so we have to do some timings here. So I've got the extension sorted, but the retraction is being a bit of a pain, because they have to happen at the same time, otherwise the sticky piston gets stuck. I'm not 100% certain how I've done it, but I've actually managed to pull this thing off. So if we look, so we flick the lever and you can see that everything retracts all perfectly in sync. So that is that area of the door all opened up. And then if we flick the lever again, you can see that all of the floor pretty much pops up. And there we go, we have the base of our pyramid. Fantastic, that has gone considerably better than I expected, considering everything is perfectly in sync and looks really, really cool. I mean, look at that. That is one heck of a dramatic opening to a base. Alright, okay, now what we have to do is we're going to have a bunch of regular pistons around here, which are going to push these blocks back up to the surface, and then we also need to power some of these pistons to retract them back down to floor level. Easy peasy. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest, we're killing it here. I mean, if we flick this lever, that will retract the whole bottom area. So, in theory, anyway. So that has popped up everything. That's all looking good. And then hopefully... those pistons have kicked in too soon. As I was saying, if we flick this lever, all of this will drop down. So there was me at the start of this video saying, I don't know if this is going to be possible. We still have a very tricky thing left to go, which is to create a triple piston extender, all based on observers and sticky pistons that are being pushed outwards. But for the most part, I mean, check that out. That is ridiculous. And so cool to watch. Anyway, it is now time to start work on this top section right here. And the first thing that I've created is hopefully a functioning triple piston extender. So we should see that will retract all of those blocks out the way. So we have now retracted back this part of the pyramid, and then what we need to do is we're going to fire this double piston extender, which I've actually already built in up at the top. So if we fire that one, you can see that this has gotten itself stuck somehow. Let's try that again. Ah. Okay, that shouldn't be a problem. We'll just have to change the direction that comes in from. There we go. So if we flick this lever now, we can see that we get the double retraction, and that moves all of that out of the way. So we now have a fully open door apart from these two blocks right here, which are going to be the tricky part. So let me just do all of the timing circuits for this section, and then we can start worrying about these. Oh boy. This should mean that everything is connected up. So we have all the timings for our piston extenders. We've got pulse extenders and everything like that that are dealing with this double piston extender right here, so that it's all lined up with our triple piston extender, and then that's connected into the bottom circuit. So now everything should work all together, and that is... This might be one of my favorite piston doors to watch. It's not exactly fast, but it's certainly cool looking. That is really, really cool. I can actually speed up this triple piston extender. Yeah, that should be a little bit faster now. Anyway, alright, speaking of triple piston extenders, let's finally get started on these. I've been putting them off because I'm not 100% certain how I'm going to do it. But let's do it. Let's retract these last two blocks. I think stage 1 might just about be completed. So if we flick this lever here, we can see that we get the first block retraction, which is that one. This observer has been left out here, and that's not what I wanted. So we might need to increase the amount of delay on this one. So essentially we need this to pulse twice so that it actually picks up that observer, and I don't think that happened. Tricky. This one's a little bit tricky, but I think we might actually be able to pull this off, you know. So that's now working. With this little circuit, that does the final block retraction. There we go. Okay. We are going to have to work out the timings, though, because otherwise strange things are going to happen. Oh, yeah, how is this going to be timed? Because this has to come through, and then we need to do all that stuff. And then this needs to happen first, and then we need to do all that stuff. Okay. No way, look at this! So we hit this button, and this... I have my arms in the air right now because that has functioned beautifully first try, just using a bunch of pulse extenders and things. Oh my word. Okay, yeah, timings. So this one has to activate. So this one has to activate first. So this one has to activate first and retract that back. Then this one has to activate and do that. But then this one has to activate first to put that back there, and then this one has to activate. Okay. And we're dealing with really long periods of time here. Having spent a lot of time scratching my head, I think I've come up with something that works. Now, I've made a backup of the world just in case everything goes completely wrong. But let's see how this goes. Okay. So that's that retracting. Ooh! That was pretty much perfect. So there's that, and then this is where things could get rough. Nothing's happened. And then that's happened. How odd. Ah. We need more repeater delays here, because that piston probably spat out his block. But that's a little bit more like it. So there goes the triple piston extender, that's fine, so that's fixed up that piston issue. And then this retracts out the way, then this pushes out, and there we go. We have the top of the pyramid all fully back extended, and we have the retraction working, everything is working. This thing actually functions, oh my word. Okay, let's build all of this on the other side, and that'll be this whole door done. It is massive. Oh, what a huge piston door. So here goes. Everything is linked up. Everything has been fully constructed. We have all of the wiring in place, and I'm going to cross my fingers so hard that this actually functions. That's a big no. What on earth happened there? I don't even know what happened there. Oh, good grief. What in... Just what? Right, I've found our problem. These two circuits are way too close, so they're powering different things. It should be easy enough to fix, I'm hoping. We're getting a lot of cross-powering going on, though. It's breaking a lot. I think I've done it! I think I've done it! Finally, this thing could potentially now be completed. No. This is about 16th time lucky at this point in time. Turns out all of these repeater timings were completely wrong, so now we should have a fully working system. That's looking in sync. This is good. It's so close to being correct. But these pistons have messed up. Oh. Finally, I think I've found out the problem. So it turns out that the pulse lengths were slightly different because on this side over here, I was using a redstone output up to here. So there was only one redstone outside of this pulse extender, whereas with this one, it was 2 redstone outside of the pulse extender. So it was going up like this, and then there was another piece of redstone dust, and then it went into these repeater timings, which meant that this pulse extender had a slightly shorter pulse extension type thing, which meant that the timings were going slightly out. Now, I imagine that has fixed that, and we should have a perfectly in sync and fully functioning Illuminati piston door. Look at that! So that drops out the way. We then retract all of this area. That then gets pulled upwards. And then we get the full retraction of those blocks as well, and there it is. Everything has been opened, this thing functions, and I am so happy. I can't wait to show it to all of my Illuminati friends. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and check out the latest film on the filming channel. Link will be on the end screen.